There you go, Sean.
There
Good
we are,
job.
brother.
welcome back to Still Talking Uncut podcast. We're your hosts, Big Easy, Sean Rigsby. Sorry we wasn't here last week. We won't even say why. You know why. You know who we're gonna blame. So
I
it's
don't
always
blame you. I
Sean's fault.
blame the same damn person every time.
That's right. That's right. So we're we're grateful enough to be joined by special guests Wild Bill and Rachel, Master Distiller winners.
The first couple on the show, I
The
do
first
believe.
couple
Yeah.
on the
First
show. Yeah, it was the
couple
first time we've
moonshine.
had 4 people on the show. So if you don't count when Sean's boss comes running in. So
You shouldn't, but we'll see.
We won't hold that against him.
we'll see. We'll see.
It's uncut, so you never know.
At least he knows who his boss is, right?
Oh yeah. We all know,
As long as it's not Johnny Law, right? We'll be good.
That's right. When you got a little one, that's your boss.
Hey,
That's right.
I know exactly where you're coming from, brother.
Even when they get older, they're still your boss a little bit, even though you try to boss them. But
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, good times. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey,
Absolutely.
so let me start. What are we all
Yeah.
drinking tonight?
Well, easy. You can go ahead and go.
Apple brandy
Apple brand.
on the rocks.
Sean,
I've
what
got an
about you?
idea. I'm drinking some of George Rose's label, Pop Casey's, old Kentucky 31 9-grain moonshine from
Nine.
Lily
Girl.
Family Distillery. Yep, it's there's a lot going on, but it's pretty decent. It's 100 proof, I think. Yep.
I like the bottle and the label. That's pretty cool looking. What do you
Yes,
have,
that's
Bill?
I'm sitting here having a little bit of aged single malt corn that was given to me by a friend of mine from Arkansas.
Well,
Arkansas.
and I am having just some good old fashioned sour mash. I'm a stickler for budgeting, so hey, sour mash is good. Redo the mash, right?
Somebody messaged me earlier, like, "Hey man, I got this. I think it was blue corn. Like, I'm on my 7th gin. Should I keep running it? Like, yeah, get everything you can out of that blue
Right.
corn. Like, you spend that extra money for that good heirloom corn. Ain't nothing wrong with trying to sour mash it 10 times if you can get it to go. If you want to fight
That's
it,
a lot.
so
Yeah, most I ever done it was 3, but if it's really expensive grain, yeah, I'm gonna try to squeeze every ounce out of that.
every ounce out of it. Yeah, so do it. If you can do it and you got the patience, then you go on ahead and you do it. So,
Yeah.
Yep. But tell us a little bit about how you guys got started.
Well, with me, I'm 56 years old. It started about 1982, believe it or not.
year I was born. It's a good
Hi,
year.
babe.
That's a good year.
I wouldn't even twinkle my daddy's eye at that point.
That's a good year. Sean's always the youngest.
Oh
So
yeah, whippersnappers, man. I'm an old
See,
dude, but
you got to watch what you say because Sean's kid ears. You don't want to get him in trouble.
A friend of mine, we were hunting. We were squirrel hunting like, kids did back in the early 80s, late 70s and all that. We stayed outside. We didn't stay in the house. We weren't house kids. And we happened to walk up on a guy that was running a still. It was mid-October, end of October. And down here in Central Alabama, our season runs a little bit longer than, you guys up north. But it scared the hell out of us, and he got on to us and told us we better not say anything. And he was well known in the community, and of course we didn't. And as time went on, the other boy that was with me, he moved off, and as time went on, I was about maybe 13 years old at the time, and I didn't have driver's license or nothing. Well, fast forward 2 or 3, 4 years, I got my driver's license, and he come up to me wanting to know if I wanted to do a little bootlegging because the county just west of here was dry at the time. And you know how kids are, teenage boy. I'm like, sign me up. And went over there and dropped it off to a guy and come back, and he gave me $40. And in 80 what?
What? I don't know.
84, maybe 85. somewhere in that 80, 84, somewhere in that neighborhood. Gas was 89 cents a gallon. A 6-pack of beer was like $2. A pack of cigarettes was 70 cents. $40 was a lot of money.
Damn, and that's when good kids were born too back in.
So as time went on, I kept aggravating him about letting me get involved in the process because I was just, wanting to figure it out. And he brought me in, and hell, we loved stuff. It was tough back then. Nowadays, it's a lot different than it was back in the early 80s or the mid 80s. We was out in the woods, way off, because back then deer hunting was big, and a lot of people were in the woods coon hunting and squirrel hunting and fishing on the creeks. Kids would wade the creeks, people would paddle the creeks. So you had to be more careful back then. And it was a lot of work, man. We would tote stuff in the woods, sugar and corn, and we tote our water in because, we a lot of times we're set up on the edge of a pretty big creek or something. You didn't want to draw water off for your grains on that. But he finally got, where he showed me how you did it. And that's how I got my start. And then along comes graduation, along comes work, along comes building a house, along comes kids, and you get out of it for, 20 years probably. And then a buddy of mine wanted to make we live right here by Chilton County, and they're famous for peaches. And he wanted to make a peach brandy and asked me if I knew how, and I said, yeah. So we went over and got some peaches, mashed them in. He had a little piss pot still that goes on your stove, and believe it or not, stuff come out pretty damn good for as small as it was. A little 5-gallon still. Didn't have a thumper or nothing on it. And we run off a little bit of peach, and that lit the fire again. So that's where she come in.
That's all it takes.
Wanted to start doing it a little bit, and she was interested in it. And you guys know it's not hard to make. I mean, it's not
like riding a bike.
And I was always his gopher, so go get me this, go get me that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I kind of
you got to start somewhere.
Osmosis, It just kind of sunk in.
Yeah, I wanted to get a bite out of the reality of it. It's not, nowadays we've lost I'm afraid a lot of the original heritage. People do it now, which I don't blame them. You can buy quality stuff now. You can get good steels, 15, 20 gallon range, and you can do that in your backyard, in your basement, or in your garage. But back when I got started, it was taboo. And, it was highly secretive. I made that man a promise that I'd never tell on him. I'd never mention his name. He's dead and gone now. And she don't know who it was. I'll take that to my grave with me. I made him a promise. And I'm gonna live by that. Just an old backwoods moonshiner from Central Alabama down here in the southern end of the Appalachians.
Yeah, there's a pretty decent heritage down there.
Yeah,
in Alabama,
especially the county in which we live. We live in Coosa County, which is dead in the middle of the state. And
I think we said it on the show. It's the heart of Dixie, right slap dab in the middle.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moonshine heritage down here. I've got a book in there about Alabama moonshine. It's just about every county, but especially Coosa County. We're a real rural county. There's not but about 9,000 people in this county, 600 and I think 63 square miles.
And we live in the woods. I mean, like a busy day is like 3 or 4 cars that will ride by our house.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
That's a place to be, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's nice.
If you like to hunt and fish and just...
It's paradise if you like to hunt and fish.
Oh, yeah. So what's your guys' favorite thing to make?
Let's see. So, of course, most of the old timers around here, they like corn and they like rye. My favorite, actually, believe it or not, sour mash. But what's your favorite?
Well, you got to make something that makes. She likes sour mash off of, second, third, run off of grain. But my favorite, what we initially was going to do on the show was peach brandy, because we have access to so many peaches, and I can buy overripes for like $10 a case, and I can fill the back of my truck up for $40, $50.
But it takes a while sometimes for brandy to make. That mash will make. That yeast don't work quite as fast as some of the other yeast. So that's why we decided on something else.
I made crabapple brandy because a lot of people around here have crab apples. That's just a pain in the butt, to take care of a bunch of golf balls. But really and truly, I would say peach.
Yep. I don't blame you at all.
After my heart loves some peach brandy.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's just so easy. You don't have to put a bunch of sugar to it. It comes out smoother. I don't like to use a lot of sugar.
The more you sip on it, the sweeter it gets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
And I like to age mine. I like, aging it. And so I would say peach brandy for me.
And a lot of times we can get a good deal on peaches around here. We know a farmer that has a peach farm, and he'll let us have his overripes pretty cheap. And it's better to have them real ripe anyway. So.
Oh yeah, you don't have to wait. You don't have to do the old freezer trick. It's just you get them and they're ready to go. So nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just that a lot of people from up north, we live right on the edge of I-65, and that takes people to the Gulf. We're like 220 miles from the Gulf, or actually 200 miles. We're exit 205 over. So 200 miles from the Gulf. And a lot of those people from up north, when they stop by these produce stands, they don't want them, overripe bruised peaches.
Yeah, they don't want no bruises. It's got to be pretty.
So they don't really have anything. They make ice cream out of them at some of these fruit stands and jellies and stuff like that. But they have so many of them. If I give him a heads up, he'll
That's
say.
Because up here north, every time we see peaches, they're in the store and they're beautiful. So we're not used to them overripe. They get overripe, they pull them and send them off wherever. But so everybody coming down there, they want them peaches. They want people want them hard, or some people up here like to eat their peaches, not ripe. I say not ripe.
So they're perfect for making wine and brandy. So
love some peaches.
That's right. So how did you go about getting on the show? Did they approach you guys? Did you guys approach them?
No, actually. Okay, so I'm scrolling one day through the internet, and I found, where they were doing like a casting call, and you know what I'm talking about, Sean. And so I put his name in the hat because he's always loved the show. We both love the show. And I put his name in the hat and just thought, just try it and see. And then one day they gave him a call, and I didn't put my name in the hat. I kind of Forrest Gumped my way in it. But anyway, tell them what happened. So when you got the first call.
Well, they said I was out here cutting the grass, or so we had just got back from the summer jam in Maggie Valley, and I had been talking to Brian Battle, and he was from Alabama at the time when he was on the show. He's moved to Florida now, and I was telling him, I said, I did my interview, my video interview deal, that you send to him back December of that year. And I said, man, I don't get anything from them, and he said, I'm going to tell you, brother, he said, when they call you, he said, they'll call you like on a Wednesday or Thursday, and they'll want you there on Monday. I said, well, I hadn't heard nothing. He said, well, just hang in there. And sure enough, we hadn't been home. I was cutting grass. And I saw a weird number on my phone from New York.
Was it a text you got or a phone call?
I can't remember. It was either a phone call or a text, but it was a weird number. And I called it, and it was this dude, he was with McGill Entertainment. And he wanted to know if I was, still interested in coming on the show. I said, heck yeah. And they were wanting me to do something with, I can't remember if it was, I believe it was gin.
Something we don't make.
And I said, man, I ain't never made that. I said, I don't even drink gin. I never made it. And I said, if I'm on, I said, I'd rather do something. I said, y'all hadn't got anything. He said, well, we're working on something, a family feud edition. He said, do you have anybody in your immediate family that has ever distilled with you? And I said, my wife. He said, do you think she would be interested in coming on the show? And I said, well, I'll have to get with her on that. So I asked her, and she said, heck yeah. So, she had to get everything cleared with her job and all that. So that's how she got on there.
So here enters Forrest Gump into the competition. I didn't really apply for it, but I ended up on it.
Yeah.
But it was great. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Oh, yeah. We had a ball now. I'd love to get back on there in some other capacity.
Yeah, that would be great.
But that's how she got on there. So and Brian was right. It was like on a Thursday or something. They sent us a COVID test, and we
Yep.
took the COVID
Had to
test.
doodle our nose, right in front of the camera. The drill.
Took it to the FedEx people the next day, and they shipped it back, and they gave us the okay. And I believe we were in the win on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, we took it right off. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe I had 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I had just enough time to do 2 different barrels, and one of them it was just fucking piss, and the other one I didn't get a chance to run off.
Did you know what you was going to make before you went?
No. Well, no. They sent us our itinerary, emailed us what our episode was going to be about, and luckily they told us it was going to be like a 4-day fermentation. And I was like, damn, I can't get peaches to ferment, I'm afraid, 4 days,
Right.
So we just went with a triple malt, and I made a mountain brandy, something we've done a million times before. I put apples and pears and malted corn, wheat, and barley in there, and
chunked a few raisins in there,
Stayed light on the sugar and throw the yeast to it. And luckily, it worked off, in the time period. So we went from, the contest was just use your family heritage recipe, family tradition type deal. And her great grandfather used to make whiskey here in the county, and it was actually a triple malt whiskey, sort of in honor of what he had made years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
More modern twist to it. We used flake grains, and he would have used, he would have had to malted his grains in the creek and dried them and all that kind of stuff. And we didn't go through that process, but basically the same thing.
Yep. I know where we're at. He could attest to it too. We could malt our stuff here, but there's really no point. We got brew shops right up the road. There's liquid enzymes and shit out now that you can just just dump it in and roll with it.
Yeah, it's come a long way. That's what I was referring to earlier. Like, you got better equipment today. You got more access to better grains and better water and better yeast. You got millions. Back in the day, I can't tell you what kind of yeast we were using. It was just in a fruit quart jar.
That's one of the biggest advancements with technology that you see is yeast. The strands of yeast. What different types of yeast do, and what are good for different what you want to achieve.
Yeah, and believe it or not, when we would do a brandy back then, or not necessarily brandies as much, but muscadines and blackberries, we would use wild yeast. You would just mash that stuff in and get it hot and let it sit, and it would ferment on its own.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got a story for them, too, if you want to go ahead and talk about it.
Natural ferment.
Yeah.
Like I acquired a bunch of spent grapes from a winery, and I threw water and sugar on them. Was like, I'm going to come out tomorrow and yeast them. I used them tomorrow when they cool down. It's late. And I come out the next day, and they're just full working, capped off and everything.
Yeah, it'll work.
I'm pawing at it, and it's just fizzing up. I'm sending videos of Sean. I'm like, man, I ain't got to use no yeast. I'm just going to let this stuff ferment. And it fermented really quick. And it was crazy. It was an awesome way to learn about, natural yeast. Like, hey, it will take over. Give it time, it'll take over.
Yeah, you just give it time. That's what a lot of people don't realize. When our Scott-Irish ancestors came here to the New World, I doubt very seriously them boys was toting a barrel of yeast with them. I mean, we used to feed Pawpaw's hogs, and if you left corn in a trough that was wet, in about 3 or 4 days, that stuff started souring up, and it get to bubbling.
Yeah, the hogs get drunk.
Yeah.
Drunk hogs.
Yeah.
We had a pet hog that used to get drunk.
Yeah, we sure did.
It doesn't take much to turn stuff into alcohol. I was like 20-something years old, and I found a old bottle of grape juice, juicy juice, in the back seat of my truck. Underneath, it had to be a couple years old, and I was real thirsty, and I didn't care. And I popped it open, and it had some alcohol in it, just sitting in there all that time. I got a good buzz off of it. Like I didn't expect that, you
You
know.
making that jailhouse wine.
Yeah, it just fermented from being in there so long.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
how long it was in
hilarious.
there, but I found that jug of juice and I drank it. You know, when you're thirsty enough, you don't care. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, I've never really put much thought into it, but the old guy that taught me told me that's why they used to open air fermentation. The yeast you would pour in it, and you left it open. They didn't give a dang about mosquitoes and
Yeah.
stuff getting in it, you know. And they said because that wild used to help it work faster. I don't know if that's true or not. It may be, it may not be. That's just an old tale that they use, you know. Hey, leave them. They didn't want to cover it up. You know, we didn't put a lid on it. We left it open.
Now, when you guys do your sour mash, do you dump the hot beer over into the so then you have to re-add your yeast then, or do you just wait till it's like
about
lukewarm
half
and then
what you did the last time?
Yep.
Only about half.
Okay.
Because you still got some yeast in there. As long as you let you slop when you drain open your slop valve on your pot. I let that sit for a little while, let it cool off.
It cool down.
When it comes off that steel, it's 200 degrees. And
hell yeah.
Let it sit till it gets down to about 90 degrees, something like that. Pour it to it. Add about half the sugar that you would before. I don't use a lot of sugar. And add a little more sugar to it and chunk a little yeast to it, and it kicks back up.
Oh yeah.
Sour mash is an acquired taste. You either like it or you don't.
Yeah, you either like it or you don't.
And that's the way it is with sour
it.
mash.
I like
You
it.
know, like it's like a dry wine. Like you either like a dry wine or you don't. You know, there's no in between. I don't like dry wine. So,
but in certain days and times, that's sour mash the way to go. You don't want to spend extra money.
It's just the old traditional way of saving money.
That's right. And I'm a tightwad, so I like to save money.
Now, I'll tell you what I have done with it before. I have taken that sour mash and blended it, with something else.
Yep.
Because I'm sort of like you, Easy. I'm not real crazy about sour mash. It's got that, I don't know, how would you describe it? Just
dry, like you said.
Yeah, it's just a little funky to me,
It's different, It's got a twang. It's got its own twang.
Yeah.
And you either like I said, you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. That's what's so awesome about it. Like you love it, make it. And you can make it, but I guess you could always, redistill it and mix it and
clean it up. Yeah.
Clean it up, make it to where it's more of a neutral spirit. For me, that's probably the way I would go. So I just, I'm not about redistilling, but when it comes to sour mash, I'd probably redistill it just because that's my thing.
Yeah. To keep from redistilling it, that's when I'll blend it with something.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, make some apple pie with this. You'll never know. It's just it's great. So
do you guys run a thumper or do you
sometimes
do stripping runs or?
I believe it or not, never had done a stripping run. Now, when we went on the show, that was our first run, was a stripping run. So
was it for you too, Sean?
Yeah.
I don't do stripping runs. I can understand why a big distiller like Jack Daniels or somebody like that would strip because they got all this grain, in storage, so they want to get the alcohol out of it, and then do, but when you're talking. The best I can remember, the still that we fooled with back in the early 80s was 45 gallons, 55-gallon drum. And you would have a little left over. So I'm just guessing 45 gallons because that's been, so many years ago. But we would run every other day. We had 5 barrels and we would mash in every 2 days. So when you would make a run today, you'd have about 2 days, and you'd make another run, and you'd have about 2 days. You make it, and then every time you made a run, you would remash in that barrel. So during the summer months, it was about 3-4 days a week. Sometimes on up into 1-2 o'clock in the morning. Because the guy that taught me, he had a full-time job, and hell, I was in school except the summer months when you was out of school. So,
hell yeah.
But yeah, we have a thumper on ours, and if I'm running sometimes I'll run it single pot, especially a single malt grain like a barley or something. I'll run, or malted corn. I'll run it single pot to get that flavor in there.
That flavor.
And
Just to keep
brandy,
that flavor.
I'll run peach brandy. And what I'll do instead of, a lot of times people worry about their thumper putting the flavor in their whiskey and their alcohol. Just run it single pot and, go a little bit slower than you normally would and put those peaches and stuff in that pot.
Okay. Yep. They're actually one of the guys that pretty much taught me. They don't run a thumper, and what they would do is they strip their shit, and then they throw it all back in. Then they'd cut peaches up and throw them in the pot.
Yeah.
On the back and run.
Yeah.
So I've never threw any solids in the pot like that, but I mean, hell, I'd assume they'd,
The only thing you have to watch out for is you just have to back off that heat. It's you don't want to
scorch it.
Yeah, if any of that stuff gets to the bottom and you got that fire, really rolling,
wound up.
Yeah, you can really make a mess out of something. But if you just go low and slow with it, I've never had a problem with it. But it's funny sometimes that people got these infusers and all that. And if you put something in that thumper and you run that and you light that fire, the heads and all that kills whatever flavor you're going to get out of that thumper. Mm-hmm. And then they put the infusers on them, which that's a pretty good idea. But I tend to always go back to the old ways. That was working longer than all this new stuff.
Yeah.
Just run it single pot. Get your flavor in there and put some of those peaches in your pot. You don't have to put all of them in there. You can, and a lot of times, once that, when you look at your cap and stuff like that, a lot of those peaches will float to the top anyway.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you cap it. Yeah. Go ahead.
You're good.
I was going to say, especially if you, wait a little bit later to cap it up, when it gets hot, and, everything kind of starts to roll.
Yeah. So, that's the way we used to do it. And that's, I run single pot a good bit.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us home distillers now, we make alcohol for ourselves to drink on here and there. We get bored. So we're like, man, what can I do different? Yeah. What can I add to this?
Yeah. I got some friends we've got that are just all over the map, man. I mean, they're mashing in stuff. And I'm like, man, but hey, that's good. That's what I want to happen. I want to keep this tradition alive. That's why I'm in it. If we don't keep doing this, that's something that'll die.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And knowledge that's not shared is wasted knowledge.
That's right.
That's true.
Yep. And a lot of people like the old ways, and a lot of people love the new ways. Technology is a big thing, and some people are against it. A lot of people are for it. I feel like new technology really helps with consistency of a product.
Yeah.
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 And like
everything has its place. Everything has its place.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and it's all for the person, Everything has its place, and it's all awesome. I love it all. I love it. I love every bit of it. I love everybody. I love it all.
Yeah, it's like old John Bench. He's the flavor guru is what I call him. I ask him all the time, hey, man, how do you, what? Because, see, I never was into that flavoring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't a market for it down here.
Old-timers just won't just.
Yeah, and I'm just a whiskey drinker. I don't put ice or nothing in mine. I like 100 proof whiskey. I don't like I can do 90, but 80, that's getting out of, I understand why these big distilleries go 80, because it's more volume, more product.
Where do you like your brandy?
Everything I do is 100 proof.
Okay.
And on the show, that was kind of our Achilles heel. You had to flavor it at the end. We don't flavor. So it's like, oh my gosh, we've got to come up with something. So it was kind of my idea to like, okay, what does everybody like? Apple pie. Well, everybody wears out apple pie, but here's the deal. Wild Bill don't like that 50, 60, 70 proof. So he's like, all right, you can do your apple pie. I'm going to do it 100 proof. So that's what we did. We did 100 proof apple pie, hot apple pie.
Yeah, that's what we call it, hot apple pie.
That's how I like it.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of leather.
Well, you know what? That's what I tell people. If it's too dadgum hot, Put you a piece of ice in it. Just put a piece of ice in it. Come on, guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to drink 100, 110 proof alcohol if you don't want to. Drop you a cube of ice in it. And then all of a sudden you got 60 proof and then drink away. But,
sound advice, you don't
Yeah.
like where it is, cool it off. You
Yeah.
know?
It don't take much to change it. If you got something that's not strong enough, you just take a little clear and add to it.
Yeah,
That's all it is. I had a guy. I had a guy about a month ago. I can't drink that hot stuff. I said, let me show you something. I come in here and got an ice cube out of the refrigerator, and our ice maker makes them little old bitty round cubes about as big around as a marble. And I took a shot glass just like that one right there. Had about that much whiskey in it, and I dropped that 1 cube of ice in it. I said, now give it about 3 minutes and try it. And he's like, whoa. I said, see, there you go.
That's amazing what a little bit of water will do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's my all night trick. I put some liquor on ice in a cup and sip on it for a couple hours. By the end of the 2 hours, everybody else is really buzzed and you're still even killed because you've been drinking liquor water really watered down.
Yeah.
And it's a way to get by. And then at the end of the night, you go really hard and then pass out.
Yeah. Well, so I was raised up on the hard stuff. That the old man that told me how to do this, we were in the woods one night, and we were in the woods. We were actually in a boat. We were on the river, and I said, man, this is a lot of damn work not to get to drinking on this whiskey. He looked at me, he said, you're right. He said, get us a drink. Next thing you know, we're camping out in the woods because we got more than a drink.
Whoops.
So we were just drinking hot liquor. It hadn't even been proofed yet. So you're probably, after everything's said and done, you're probably looking at 130 proof, whiskey when all of it was poured in, because we were running single pot back then, using a pound of sugar to every gallon of water. So our gravity would have been about 150. So you're looking at about a 6.5 ABV. So coming off of a single pot, you was about maybe 135, 138. See, we didn't have hydrometers back then. You just shook it. And then he would run it till it got to about 90 proof, and then we shut it off. And then we'd run the tails and rerun them the second run. Now, that second run, your proof would be real high because you put about 2 gallons of tails in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we was drinking probably 125 proof, 20 proof, somewhere in that neighborhood, whiskey out in them woods. And it didn't take long. My ass was feeling pretty good.
It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
I'm about 3 shots. Give me 3 shots and,
And they're calling you Big Easy.
That's right.
Big easy. Big, real easy.
Really?
But, so we always ask, do you guys have a moonshine about killed me story?
Oh,
or y'all about killed each other over some type of
we
moonshine?
We had never been in one fight in our 22 years of marriage.
Yeah, and we still fight.
We still fighting.
That's a slow
Just one
afternoon
fight,
right
we're still
here.
fighting.
No, I think they asked me that on the show, and it didn't make it on the show. One of the producers or cameramen.
He'll make it on one of them.
And yeah, there you go. We were in the woods one day. We were on the river, and I don't know. Y'all have armadillos up there in Ohio?
No.
Well, we don't have them as bad now as we did 30 years ago. So we were in the woods, and we had it was dark, and we had a still going, and we had 2 old chairs, a wooden chair set up not far from the river bank. We were cooling our worm with a car battery and a bilge pump that goes in no boat. We took the bilge pump out of an old runabout boat and had a hose running upside the hill, dumped it in the damn worm. And my buddy, the old man, he decided to go to the truck to get a pack of cigarettes. Well, the truck was on the other side of the hill, about maybe 150 yards away. So you had to walk over this hill in hardwoods. Well, I was sitting there, and we had, we were cooking on gas back then. We had a homemade gas burner made out of a piece of galvanized pipe, had holes drilled in it. It's a damn wonder we didn't have an explosion, but we didn't. And all of a sudden,
There's the cat.
all of a sudden, we're sitting here, and I'm sitting there in the damn chair, and I hear something in the leaves. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And damn old armadillo can't see real good. So that thing had got up in the middle of where we were at. We had like 5 barrels, and we had a tarp, up over us, tied off a rope in case it come a rain or something. And that armadillo took off, and I fell backwards in that chair, and I come about that close from hitting that pot. And if I'd have hit that pot, we had it sitting up on blocks and rocks, they would have probably dumped it over, which wouldn't have caused, well, I don't know, it probably would have caused an explosion, but never nothing, no fires or, we'd clean out good if we were in the woods, to keep leaves from catching on fire.
Yeah.
I think the only time with you and I was whenever we shine in the woods, and he sent me down to the creek with a hose, to put it in the creek. And there was a snake down there, and needless to say, I had to come apart, and then I come running back and about knocked the still over. And he's like, "What are you doing?" "Yeah, no, there's the cat." But anyway, I about knocked the still over because I about had a heart attack with the snake. But I guess that's about the one that almost killed me from a heart attack. That is.
we don't have any like dangerous animals up here. Like nothing you got to worry about.
That one's pretty dangerous on your shoulder right there, Big Easy.
Yeah, if you don't give her what she wants, just like any other cat.
Yeah.
Somebody opened the door and let her in here. She was.
But no, we always made sure everything was clean. No, no dirt dauber's nest, no rat nest or nothing in any mule head or anything like that. So we'd blow through it, pour, and just run it slow. I've never cooked anything on wood, like popcorn would have done or somebody like that. I've never, I'd like to do that.
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
I'd like to build a furnace and build a fire. That would really be a legacy type, moonshine, and then make an all grain. Don't put no sugar or nothing in it. Even I'd like to sprout my own grains, do it the old fashioned way. I've never done that.
Me and Sean talked about furnace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark Rogers does it that way in the woods, and that's cool.
Live in the city. So build one in the backyard. I don't care. They make it legal here in Ohio. I'm building a furnace out back. So,
yeah. Is it illegal in Ohio?
Yeah, but they got a bill in the house that'll let us distill 100 gallons a person a year. 20 up in the house.
Not to change the subject on anything else, but I think I agree with that right there. It ought to be it's a dadgum shame this day and age. A man can't make just really with all that's going on in the world,
Yeah, the senator that introduced it was like, look, man, these laws were enacted to curb organized crime back in Prohibition times. Like, they're letting you do all wine, beer. Like, man, let us distill, because there's so many people who are higher ups that want to distill. So they're going to make it happen. When the rich want to do it, then it's going to happen for everybody else. So fingers crossed.
As long
we've
as
been on the downtrot since the show, because you all eyes are on you once you go on that show. And Alabama's an ABC state. We have our own ABC law enforcement. And so, you have to be careful. So we haven't done anything now in a while. Yeah. We're trying to go legal. We're working on that process.
That was a question of ours, do you have plans on going legal? If so, where? Yeah, are you going to specialize in brandy and sour mashes, because it's what you like?
That's going to be in accordance with what the state of Alabama allows you to do. I'm not really sure what the state of Alabama. I would do a brandy, absolutely, and a traditional corn moonshine, and then probably we're in conjunction with our other partners. She owns a bar, and they serve cocktails, and one of their biggest house pours vodka. So, because we are using the cocktails. So what we would try to do is our house pour would be something that we would make. So that's going to be a learning curve, because to do a vodka, you just about going to have to go with a column type still. And
technology.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I've never run a column type still, which it can't be any different than anything else. You heat it up, watch your temperatures, and it's going to do its thing as long as you don't run it too hard.
At the end of the day, it's all the same, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Heat on the bottom, liquor out the end.
That's right.
Exactly.
So it's not as difficult as people make it out to be, but it can be difficult to make it good.
Yeah. And so I've never made a vodka. I don't know anything about vodka.
Me neither.
I just know it's neutral. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, I had some
Anything.
people tell me just make sugar shine.
You can make anything in the vodka now as long as it's 190 proof coming out of the still or whatever they call for it to be, like bourbon and whiskey, it's all got to be that way. But we're all hillbillies. Let's just we do it our own way, man. Yeah. This is how I'm doing it.
But one thing about going legal, when you go legal, you got to jot everything down, keep up with everything. That's going. If that takes place, which I'm sure it will,
It'll be a challenge, but
it'll be a
people do
challenge.
it, so we can do it.
So, are you guys planning on opening a distillery, or are you just teaming up with a distillery that's already open?
No,
we're going to open one.
I'd like to team up with the distillery that's already open as well. We're open to that option as well. But the woman that we're involved with, she actually came to us. We had a watch party at her place, and she said, "Oh man, it's always been my dream to have a distillery." And I said, "Well, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna jump on the wagon while the wagon's there."
You're talking to the right person.
Yeah, and so we're in the process of doing that, and I have no idea how long that's going to take.
Well, since you're wondering about that, how when do you think your legal run at a major distillery or Sugarlands will be made?
I'm not really sure.
We've not really heard. I know they're behind, so we're just kind of hanging in there because I know they're behind, but maybe they'll kick up production soon.
They'll get it when they get it. I'm not concerned about that. I'm absolutely certain they're gonna keep their end of the bargain.
I know COVID probably had a problem with it. That slowed things down too. But anyway, we're just hanging in there. That's all you can do, like a hair and a biscuit.
It's absolutely right until you pick it out. You know what I mean?
Have you heard anything from them, Sean?
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry.
You got to all yourself, bless your heart.
Caught him off guard, Bill.
He
didn't pull that hair out.
You better tell your wife to put an apron on when she makes them biscuits.
Next question. Let's go next question.
Yeah.
Next question. So did you guys run into any issues when you were on the show? Like with your ferment, with still parts, not having a gasket.
About the only issue with the fermenting part, we thought it would take a little bit longer, and it worked off extra quick. So we were kind of worried about it sitting on the grain for a while, but it ended up turning out okay. For the actual still pick, I went in and did that, and the only thing is the guys that went in front of me, they got all the arms. I don't know what they call them. I just call them the arms, the little square things,
Yeah, we all know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, they got them all. I didn't have any. So I did find a piece of copper that was kind of like banana shaped. And I thought, and he's pretty good at putting crap together. So I thought, well, at least he can maybe link it up with that. So I got that. Well, in the other part of getting it, I actually hoarded up all of these clamps and gaskets, and lo and behold, guess what they forgot? They forgot one of those clamps, and they needed my clamp, and I needed their arm, so we ended up working out a trade. That worked out really good.
I'm sure even if you didn't have a clamp for them, they would have given you the arm, or you would have given them the clamp, even if you had.
Or else we'd have both been disqualified.
That's right. So that's how it goes. You guys watch each other's back, even though it's competition.
Yeah. So that part worked out pretty good.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I what they didn't show was I forgot a 4-inch cap for the thumper. I got the gasket, but not the cap. They didn't show that. Yeah, which I'm cool with it. I mean, my goal was not to look like an idiot anyway.
Right.
I thought I almost squeaked through, but when I got to watch the episode, I realized I did. I was just an ugly son of a bitch, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, I was nervous on the distill pig. I mean, the stills that we were using is clean. It's really close to the ones that we have, but I was still nervous because I was like, oh crap, if I screw up, guess what? He's gonna constantly be on my ass about it. But I did all right.
Yeah, they wanted her to do it, but her being a woman, and she agreed to do it. And she went in second because we came in second place behind Landon and Jerry on that first that first run.
Hey babe, I forgot to have you do that.
And yeah, they made an outstanding run, and so we come in second, and then Kyle and Randy, the two brothers, they came in third, and so it worked out. We didn't have any problems. Like I say, the only thing we did is the mash worked off a little bit quicker than we had anticipated, and I was afraid that was going to sit there on the grain because they initially told us we were going to have 4 days fermentation, and it ended up being about 6 because of some stuff that had happened with the locations, and so I was afraid it might be sitting on the grain a little bit too long. But when we got back, when we did our first run, I went in there and tasted it, and it was good. And I said,
So it worked out.
So you
know how hot it is on the set. It's just excruciatingly hot. So
I watched John sweat.
Sweat. I mean, I was
first time you see me
melting.
work.
Yeah.
Sweat alcohol.
Yeah, it was horrible. So anyway, I was kind of rethinking my look because there's not that many women moonshiners, and so anyway, let it be for me to go for the Danielle Parton look, all gussied up and everything. And then I was thinking I should have went for the Patty Bryan look with just the cap and just let it rip because it was hot, and I looked like. I might have went in first, going in looking like Danielle Parton, but then I come out looking like Phyllis Diller by the end of the day. It was hot.
Come out first, that's all that matters. So.
Yeah, and we were honored that we did. It was I'll be honest with you. People ask me all the time, "Were you nervous?" And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't nervous at all. The cameras and stuff, they do they do a real good job at
making you comfortable
with all that. And that never did bother me. But what bothered me is I didn't want to be the first person to get eliminated. And I hated for Kyle and Randy, the two brothers from New Jersey, because they're competitors like we are. We're friends with them.
They were sweet boys.
Yeah, we made friends with them, and y'all, how it is, Sean. When you're up there around all these people, you become friends for life. But when that was the relief right there, when they got eliminated from the first round, and it was her and I, and then Landon and Jerry, I was like, relieved because see, Landon, he was a head distiller at Stranahan's in Denver. So I kept telling Rachel, I said, look, if we lose to him, we can fall back on that. He's a major distiller. He gave me a bottle that's right there in our bar and signed it. Stranahan's a single malt whiskey. So I said, hey, if we lose to them, we can live with that. And that's not taking anything away from Kyle and Randy. Because they fermented oranges, and that's something right there.
Yeah,
they made it work. I mean, it worked.
I remember when I saw them mashing that in. I was like, these dudes are fermenting oranges. That's wild. And I think they said that's the first time they ever fermented oranges.
Yeah, I had never seen anything
like it too.
When we got back to the room, everybody's talking about, that ain't gonna work. I'm like, look, good and well, them boys ain't come down here because all that you have to go through to get on the show in the first place. Mm-hmm. They know how to distill. So I said, they've done this before. So they're liable to make something that you ain't never tasted before because I think what their plan was, if they made it to the final round, was to make a
orange dreamsicle.
Orange
like a sipping cream,
Yeah. So it worked out. We squeaked in there and we made it to that final round, and luckily, we hit our proofs right on the money, both rounds.
Yeah. As long as you get your pH right or your yeast will tolerate it, then you can ferment anything.
Yeah.
You can ferment almost anything. So
Absolutely. So what? As far as a mixed drink, what do you guys enjoy if you do at all?
I'm a martini girl, but I mean, he's what's that, old fashioned? Maybe if you have to do one.
If I have to do
he
a mixed
doesn't
drink,
like a mixed drink.
if I go to a bar or a nice restaurant, we have a cocktail, I'll get scotch on the rocks.
sounds like cocktail to me.
Yeah, I'm about 90% Scottish in my ancestry, so I love scotch, especially a single malt Highland Scotch. A Highland malt Scotch. I got some over here, Aberfeldy, and I got a Highland Park 20-year-old and a Dinston 12-year-old. I like scotch. I've never made a scotch, and I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to do that.
That was my question. When you gonna make one? Because
Yeah.
you can't enjoy something that much and not make one.
Got
a buddy JJ. I'm not a big scotch fan. Not saying I won't drink it. If it's in front of me, I'll drink it. But
do you like Irish whiskey?
Yeah, a little bit.
I like that.
I'm more of a clear brandy person. I like it clear.
Yeah,
and that's just me.
No, not just you.
Yeah, it's like clear brandy.
Me too.
It's just the way it is. Single arm infused. I like it unaged. Give me straight clear, 90 to 100 proof in there. It's fine with me.
Yeah, I like tasting it the way it coming right off the pipe. Whether it's 135 or proof down, but I like it clear.
Yeah, believe it or not, she does too.
I do
now
too.
I'm more of the other. I like to tinker with the, experiment with the rapid aging.
He likes to age.
I put some in a barrel, but it's hard to sit on that stuff for 3 or 4 years to me. It's like,
hurry and wait. Hurry up and wait,
like, man.
It's hard to fill. It's hard to fill a barrel when it goes down 2 gallons for every 3 I put in.
Yeah, it's like, gosh, dog, man.
But if it was already in a barrel, I wouldn't have a problem not touching it.
Yeah,
I take it somewhere like, Mom, put this in your garage, man. Like, hey, this has got to go over here, so I can't just go out and taste it. I got to sample. I got to see how it is. Like, it's going to be different tomorrow than today, and I got to find out because I need to know. So, understandable.
Yeah.
But so what's the smallest still you guys have ran, and what's the biggest one you've been either ran or been around running?
I got to run a 250-gallon one time.
Nice.
I guess you could say run it, not from start to finish,
apprenticing.
but but the smallest,
you got to touch it. That's all that matters. You ran. You got to touch it.
Yeah,
you got to drink out of the end
all
of
the
it.
same. I mean, if Jack Daniels or Jim Beam or Maker's Mark said, "Wild Bill, you want to run this still?" I guarantee I'm tell you. I can run it. You may have to show me where the valves are to turn the steam jacket on.
But you're
I'll figure it out.
Do it.
You ain't got to show me nothing.
Good. If you watch that temperature gauge or you feel that pot and that line arm and all that, when that song gun starts getting hot, you can feel that liquor running through there. And then when it starts puking out that worm, you can adjust that heat by how fast you want that thing to flow. I guarantee you I can run it. But the smallest would be just what we got. All we got is a little 15-gallon copper pot still with a thumper and a worm on it. 5 gallons.
That's all you need. 15 gallons. Perfect for
that.
Like, I believe if you dropped me off in a distillery and I had no idea how to run it, somebody'd walk in and I'd be kicking jet burners underneath whatever still they had. I'd slide 10 jet burners underneath the big stick. I wouldn't, if I couldn't figure it out, I'm gonna make liquor. I don't care, but I ended up figuring it out.
So, them heads are gonna start coming off at about 165. You're gonna still feel that stuff, heating up.
Oh yeah.
You keep adjusting that heat until you get it where you want it, and it's gonna make alcohol.
And ignore your thermometers and use your senses.
Yeah.
That's how you run a still. Ignore that thermometer. It's just there to look at. It's to be pretty. Run it by your feel and what's coming out of the end.
Now I've never run anything stainless. I've never run a column, reflux column, none of that stuff. And that stuff, if we get into the legal aspect of it, that's what we're going to have to do some investigating and see what's going to better suit our needs. We got to deal with the aspect of using city water. Yeah. When you're in a municipality, we've always used spring water for our mash. So I'm gonna have to figure out, the process of, getting city water, to the point where you can use it to mash in. We've talked to a few people, about that, filtration systems and all that. And but yeah, I don't have any doubts about as far as the process of running it and mashing in.
That's all.
So-
That's all riding a bike.
Yeah,
Like Sean said, it's just like riding a bike. It's
Once
everything. It's all the other bull crap you got to go through. You got all the hoops
All
you got to
the
jump
hoops.
through, this and that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
If you had someone real green come up and ask you what the most important ingredient is in making liquor, what would you say?
Their heart.
The ingredient.
No, well, you got to have it in your heart.
You can talk about
a
it.
great
If you want to
ingredient.
do it, you got to have it in you to do it. If you got it in you to do it, I'm not going to tell anybody per se exactly what to do, because that's like Big Easy said a minute ago, it's like riding a bike. When you first learn how to ride a bike, what do? You wreck every time you get on that bike. And you get up, you grit your teeth, and you ride it again, you wreck again, and you finally, all of a sudden, you end up going down that hill, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're popping wheelies and you're running, So the best way, if somebody, I guess I'd say you got to have it in your heart first. But the best ingredient, I would think, would be the water. You
That's
can't
fair.
use trashy water.
Yep. And that's it too. There's a lot of people that get real discouraged real quick, because, just say for, shits and giggles, it takes an average of 5 days to ferment something.
Yeah.
If someone tries it 3 fucking times and fucks up all 3 times, that's 3 weeks of their life.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like almost wanting to throw in
And
the
that's
towel.
where the heart comes in. If you want to do it, you're going to do it. It's
You gotta
just
keep
like deer
trying.
hunting. She'll go deer hunting with me sometimes, but she's not crazy about me. I'll sit in the woods for a week, not see nothing, and freeze to death. But that one day, he's going to walk out there. It's like fishing. We went fishing the other day, me and my brother-in-law and a buddy of mine, and we've been catching a lot of crappie. But we went the other day, and this cold front come in, and it changed everything. Well, it's like, y'all going to go fishing and it's cold and windy? Yeah, because you're not going to catch them here on the couch. Well, you're not going to make any whiskey by going online on YouTube and looking at, most of these guys are putting 2 pounds of white sugar to every gallon of water. Well, you ain't doing nothing but making sugar shine if you're putting cracked corn to it. If you don't steep that corn, and that's why that whiskey's hot when you drink it. It burns all the way down to your butthole. It's because they've overloaded it with sugar. So, I don't use that much sugar. I'm more in line with, quality instead of quantity. And, I do use white sugar a lot, but I don't use a whole bunch of it in my mash.
Now, what type of white sugar? Like,
Just regular old granulated sugar, because we can buy it cheap. But, I use cane sugar a lot. Use a lot of brown sugar and corn sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. See, I've never used corn sugar personally.
Yeah, that makes the best.
It's just pricey. Corn sugar's pricey.
Yep.
Well, I can get it for a little over $1 a pound. It's like $71 for 50 pounds flat.
Yeah, that's about what we get it for up here. It's like $70.
Now, if you have to have it shipped down, it escalates. it goes up to about $2 a pound. But I got a buddy of mine that brings it to me.
Yeah, we got a friend in Georgia. He brings it to us. So
He gets it from a place over in Chattanooga.
we got to hook up.
Chattanooga. I think that's where all
we got brew stores. You can just go pick them up.
That's where Scott. What's his last name? Scott Moore, the guy that I was on Master.
You're asking me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember names.
When I found out he was from Tennessee, I knew I had to beat him. Had to win.
Yeah.
I had to.
If he hears this, he'll be jumping on me here in a minute. But
He'd be all right. He's a good guy.
I'm sure your phone's already blowing up.
as soon as I start talking, shit comes out. So
Yeah.
That's a normal. Everybody knows. It's all good fun though.
Then we got some friends that live up there that do grains and stuff like that. We get some grains from, but believe it or not, a lot of times, what I tell people, the easiest way to make a corn mash is just go get cornflake cereal.
See, I never messed with that.
Well, when you look on the box,
I'd eat half the cornflakes.
When you look on the box, it's already, the ingredients: malted corn and malted barley extract. That's It's already malted. It's already been heated up. You don't have to steep it. You don't have to do anything. And you don't have to use as much of it because it's already been malted and flaked, and it's got, some sugar added to it. That's where you get that sweetness and all that.
They already did all the work for you.
Yeah, right.
That's the easiest way, It's like the hell with all that letting corn, steeping it overnight and all that, and cornmeal and stuff
is
like
my
that.
nightmare. Having to strain that off, cornmeal. Oh, don't come at me with cornmeal every time he wants to do a cornmeal mash. I'm just about to cringe because I'm the one that cleans up the mash. It's a mess.
Yeah, we run some Raisin Bran cereal one day, and believe it or not, it came out just as good as a single malt barley.
It was good.
Huh.
Try that, Sean.
Just Raisin Bran cereal.
Yep.
You tried a 5-gallon bucket.
Just be careful on your sugar. Check your gravity.
So,
Put a little warm water to it and check your gravity because it's got a lot of sugar in it and it's already malted.
Yeah.
So, not to change the subject or nothing, but he said, where's that? There you go. He said, try a 5-gallon bucket. I cannot ferment anything in a 5-gallon bucket to save my ass. When I went from 5-gallon to 50, worked fucking great. Don't know why. I mean, I'd have fucking, 8 buckets and fucking 2 of them would be done and the other 6 would still be fucking working.
But the 5-gallon bucket thing hair lipped you.
It's probably got to do with the air. That small area.
Yep. It might have been. It was probably this guy.
You think?
I do. I really do.
Probably forgot to put yeast in half of them. Like,
man. I don't know about all that,
well,
but
this was a great time. We're coming up on an hour. Wild Bill and Rachel. It was
The
it was
quickest
an
hour
honor.
ever.
It goes quick. Like you don't
Oh, yeah.
realize how quick an hour goes by until you sit down and like, especially for me, just listening to you guys talk. It's amazing to me. Like
I enjoyed you boys. Y'all were fun.
that's why I come here every Monday. So except last Monday. So
that's my fault. For anyone wondering,
there we go. I was waiting for you to take ownership. But I guess we're coming back Saturday, 8:00 in the morning. Is that what it is, Sean?
Yes, sir.
Sean, I think Sean is like he knows it's the day after St. Patty's Day, and and there's going to be green alcohol flowing, and he wants me up at 7:30 to podcast.
Yep, with Trey Butler of Dalton Distillery.
If I'm still drunk,
Dalton, Georgia,
understand why.
Yeah.
But anyways, Wild Bill and Rachel, man, it was a pleasure. It was an honor to have you here. We appreciate you guys sitting
The
down.
pleasure was all
Tell us about your
ours. Thank
experiences and your moonshine life. So, you ever want to come back on? Get with Sean.
Solid.
He'll put you on the
All right,
schedule.
Anytime, brother. We're anytime. We'd be honored.
We're just tickled to death to be here.
Well, until next time, we'll see y'all at Hillbilly Jam.
Okay.
We'll be there, brother. Good Lord willing.
Sounds
See you
like
at
a
the jam
plan.
this summer.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
thanks,
That's right.
guys. Have a good
Y'all.
night.
You too.
Shine on.
Shine
Shine
on.
on.
Shine
brother.
on.